There are lots of reasons people follow the Olympic Games. National pride, interest in a particular sport. I think on a deeper level, for many of us, there's a certain awe and inspiration that we get from seeing another person do something that seems impossible, something that seems superhuman. But even more than the feats of physical strength, what inspires us even more is the mental fortitude, the pressure on that moment, on that person, on that moment in time. They've been preparing their whole life for this, and now they have one shot, the eyes of the world are upon them, and they've got to step up to the plate and deliver. Yoni Goodwin knows that feeling. His team, his Maccabi team, won the national championship this week. And he knows those feelings, the pressures of those unique moments. But Yoni is not the most famous U.S. athlete this week. The U.S. Olympian who has become a meme overnight is someone named Paul or John Nedoroscik. Nedoroscik is a 22-year-old kid from Worcester, Massachusetts, who can do one thing really well. He can do the pommel horse. Now, the pommel horse, I don't understand it, some kind of mishigas. It's like a metal saddle, and get on there and with your hands and twist around in different directions. And he's a member of the U.S. men's gymnastics team, which has not won a medal in 20 years. And while the rest of his team does all their routines with the flips and the bars and the rings, he just sat there. For 2 hours, he just sat there and watched and dealt with the pressure. And then right at the end, he has one 45-second routine where he's got to get up, nails it, and that's what he did, and they come away with a medal. But what captivated the audience, the world's attention, is just to see how he dealt with the sitting and waiting, the pressure of that moment. And what do Olympians do to deal with that pressure? All kinds of things. But almost universally, what do they do before they get up and perform? Their moment has come. They're about to step out and do what they've prepared to do their whole life, what they've trained their whole life. What do? They pray. They point a finger heavenward. They do other things with their fingers. They close their eyes. They may not all know who they're praying to, but whatever color they are, whatever country they're from, they all pray. Min hametzar karasika, when I feel pressed from all sides, I call out to heaven. Reb Tzadok writes at the beginning of Tzidkas HaTzadik that when a person does, in the times of their extreme distress, extreme pressure, Misham Nikar Shehu Sharsha, you see from there the root. What is the root of a person? But to deal with those moments of extreme pressure, you can't just wake up one day and say, hey, I'm going to nail the pommel horse. You've got to train. You've got to train so that you're physically conditioned, but also mentally. Developing that muscle by over and over and over, dealing with it, so that when those moments come, you already have carved out pathways for your mind, for your body to follow. And that is what Parshas Masei is all about. Eile Masei B'nai Yisrael is not just a collection of journeys, a trip that we went on. It's Eile Masei B'nai Yisrael Asher Yatzu Me'eretz Mitzrayim, explains the Sfas Emes. It is a continuation of leaving Mitzrayim, each one of these. Mitzrayim, the Mitzarim, Bein HaMitzarim, the period we're now between the straits, when there's pressure all around us, we're enslaved, we don't know what to do, we turned heavenward and Hashem saved us. Great. We weren't ready to go from there right to Eretz Yisrael. Oh, one shot, one example, one time we were able to succeed. We did the pommel horse. One time we looked up, we davened, and we were answered. Does that mean that the next time that happens, we're going to know what to do? Not enough. You need to train. Masei, you need to go from here to there, from here to there, from there to the other place, over and over and over again. One trial, another trial, another trial. Infighting, external enemies, no water, no food, spiritual challenges, temptation. All the Masei B'nai Yisrael was a continuation of the Yetziah from the Mitzarim. of leaving the Meitzar to be in a situation where you cannot escape. You cannot run away. You have to deal with the Meitzar. You have to deal with it. And min ha-Meitzar, and from there come to Hashem. Karasika. And only then are we ready to go into Eretz Yisrael, because then we carve these pathways out and we're able to deal with the stresses that pop up. This past week, my wife and I were invited to join a conference of the Midwest Agudas Yisrael Council of Synagogue Rabbanim. It was a very enriching, informative 2 days. We have to bring some of those learnings here to the community, here to our Kehillah. Bezras Hashem. One of these speakers there was Rabbi Chaim David Zwiebel, the longtime general counsel, executive director of Agudas Yisrael nationally, and he was telling us that he gets invited to speak at different community, different organizations, and there's one school that always invites him for a Malava Malka. Every year he delivers the keynote at this school's Malava Malka. So last year he was there. He starts his speech, and he starts with a story. And as he's telling the story, setting the scene, he sees a boy on one side of the room nodding his head. So Rabbi Zwiebel stops, and he says, "Oh, have I said this story once before?" And then a voice shouts from the other side of the room, "Twice." Sometimes we don't want to repeat, but when it comes to developing muscle, physical muscle, mental muscle, spiritual muscle, the reps are critical. A person lifts weights, intensity, but he also has to have repetitions over and over and over. And so our davening, our avodas Hashem, you might say, why does it have to be so often? And isn't it so rote and so routine? Adarabah, that's the point. One day a year, come Yom Kippur and daven. How are you going to deal with all the things that are thrown, that life throws at you? The point is, it's reps. Every morning, every night, b'shach b'chav kumecha, you're learning, you're davening, you're in shul, over and over and over. Yeah, it's routine. It's the whole point, it's routine. So that when there's a really stressful situation, you know right where to go, you have those pathways carved. As we enter the month of Av, a month that has two paradigms. It has the beginning, which is an Eis Tzara, and then after the 15th, an Eis Ratzon, time of Simcha after Tu B'Av. And we daven that these tefillos, by us being consistent, we move Klal Yisrael out of Eis Tzara, which we have a special Haftach Hashem as an Oina Be'Eis Tzara, the Bechina of Tefillah La'ani, the Svasema says, and move to an Eis Ratzon, which we have a Haftach Hashem as Oina Be'Eis Ratzon, a time when Hashem wants our tefillos, when there's a time of appeasement, and that will bring B'mher V'yameinu the Geula Shleima B'mher V'yameinu Amen.